So this second video, I'm going to show you guys how to upload images to the annotation tool. So in the last video, we're actually able to get the annotation tool up and running. So now this is the point in which we're actually going to start annotating the images. So the first thing we have to do is clone the training images repository. So earlier we cloned the vision repository. So now this is a separate repository where we're storing all of the images we're going to be using. So as you can see, we have the vision repository. So if you're currently in your vision repository, so if you're in here, as you can see, we want to make sure that you get out of here. You don't want to clone inside of this one. So you want to go ahead and do a change directory ... and it will go ahead and take you out of that vision directory. So if you do an ls, you should be able to see all of the items that are on your desktop. So once you go ahead and get out of that vision repository, we're going to go ahead and do a git clone. So it'll be very similar to the last one. So git clone http:// at gitlab.com/desert-wave/ and this one, instead of it being vision, this will be training_images.git. So it'll go ahead and start cloning this repository. So you can go ahead and pause this video because it does take a while for it to clone. Okay, so the repository finished downloading. So I'm going to go ahead and do an ls, and now we see our training images downloaded. So I'm going to go ahead and do a cd into our training images, ls. So we have a directory here called air. So I'm going to go ahead and do a cd into air, do an ls to see what's in it. Great. So now we can see each of the categories of the image sets that we have. So we have Azwing, Bat, Dracula, Drago, okay, anyway, Jiangxi, Vitalis, and Wolf. So depending on the image set that you're going to be annotating, I'm going to go ahead and use Azwing as the example. So I put all of the possibilities here. So if you're going to go ahead and work on the Vitalis, go ahead and do a git checkout Vitalis BR branch. If you're doing bat, then use this command. If you're using Jiangxi, use this command. But for now, for this example, I'll just use Azwing. So I'm going to do a git checkout Azwing branch. Okay. Cool. So now if I do an ls, it should look the same because we just branched off of master. So I'm going to go ahead and do a cd into Azwing. This is where all the images are going to be located for Azwing. So we have two directories. One is called images, one is called labels. So in images, that's where all of our images are going to be located. Labels is what our annotation tool, that's where it's going to store all of its output files into there. So you don't have to worry about that folder. We're mostly concerned about the images folder. So if we do a cd into images, do an ls to see what's in it, we have another folder called 001. So let's go ahead and do a cd into 001, do an ls to see what's in it, and we have all of these images. Okay, so you can also see this by going to your file explorer, which is desktop, training images, air, Azwing, images, 001. You can see all these images here. Okay, all right. So let's just go ahead and do a git pull rebase to grab the latest and greatest stuff, or to make sure that we have the latest and greatest stuff. And if you do, it'll tell you that you're up to date. Otherwise, it'll pull things that you need. Okay, it says current branch is up to date. Perfect. So now we know where our images are. They are in desktop, training images, air, Aswing, images 001. So if you're doing Dracula, instead of this being Aswing, it would be Dracula. If it was Jiangxi, that would be Jiangxi. They all have the same structure. So what we need to do now is to switch back to our vision repository. Right now we're in our training images repository. So we're going to do a CD back into desktop. Well, let me go into desktop. Here. Let's just, we can CD out of here a couple of times. I forgot the command that lets you go back out a couple of times. Okay, so I'm back in desktop. Okay, and now I can see my vision. So I'm going to go ahead and CD into my vision repository. Okay, and now we can see the annotation tool again. So I'm going to go ahead and do a CD into annotation tool. And if I do an ls, I can see what's in it. So what we need to do is edit this main.py file. So I specifically like to edit that with the Python editor. So if you go through the GUI, through your file explorer, you go to annotation tool on main, because that's what we want to edit. If you right click, edit with ideally, you will open up the code. So there are 3 things that you need to change in here, and it's different for everyone. I labeled them insert your path here, insert your image path here, and insert your labels path here. So mine specifically looks like this to get to Aswing. So if you're not working on Aswing, then the last one would be Dracula or Jiangxi or whatever you're working on. The way you can find where your images and stuff are would be if you go back here, go to training images, air, Aswing, images, boom. If you click on this top thing, it gives you the path, okay? So you can just copy that. And then when you get here, just go ahead and paste it. Just remove images from this one. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what you need. For your images path, it would be the same thing. So you just come in here and you paste whatever you got. Perfect. And then for your labels path, you would do the same thing. So you go back to Aswing, labels. You just grab this, Control C, and then you can just throw it in here. So what you're doing here is you're telling the tool where to find the images. It's going to go to this path to find the images. And then you're also telling the tool, this is where you want to put my output files. It's in this directory called labels. Okay? So when you're done, go ahead and hit save, Control S. You can go up here, File, Save, and go ahead and close out of it. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and run the tool. So what we've done there is we specified where to grab the images from. Okay, so we're going to do a Python main.py. Boom. So the tool comes up again, and it's saying, okay, image directory, what image directory? We're going to say 1, right? Because that's where we were here. Aswing, images, 1. 001 is the same thing as 1. So when we tell it go to image directory 1, it's going to go in here to find all these images. So we're going to say image directory is 1. Let's load it. Cool. So now we have this image. And what we're going to do, what we're most concerned about is specifically getting the image. I don't want you to get completely large. Okay, let me minimize this a tiny bit because that is ginormal. Uh-oh, this tool is not good with large images. Okay, I'm going to have to resize these. Let me make it large again. I just want to see the feet of, I just want to see their feet. Come on. Ah. Jeez. One sec. Okay, so I'm going to have to mess with these resolutions a bit because these are fairly large. But basically what we want to do is we want to have a clear perspective of what we're trying to capture. So say if the feet were missing here or the bottom half was missing, that's bad data, right? We want to annotate as much as we can of Aswang. So these lines are pretty helpful because it allows you to kind of measure like what's on top of her head and what's the left wing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it, drag it across, make sure to get the feet and get the very tip of the wing. And once I get what I need, I'm going to go ahead and click down again. Cool. And now we drew a box around Aswang. So once we're comfortable with that, we're going to go ahead and hit next. Okay, so it looks a very similar image, but they are different. So, and as you hit next, you'll see that they're different variations from the video. So once again, you want to annotate all of them. I just went ahead and clicked through to give you a different perspective, but you want to annotate all the images as clearly as possible. So don't chop off anything from the image itself. Okay, perfect. Then you just hit next. You keep doing that over and over again, and once you get to the very end, this shows you how many images you have in total at the bottom left corner. Once you've done all of them, you can go ahead and hit close, and it shows you which images have been saved. So if you actually go back to labels, you will see it made its own folder called 001 and all these annotations. So if we were to actually open up the TXT file, it shows that we annotated one object, we had one box, and here are the coordinates of that box. Okay, so with these, I would imagine they're going to be zeros. Yeah, because we didn't annotate those, or I didn't annotate those. So they're going to be zeros. But the last one of the last ones should have the annotation because I did that one. Yep, because I skipped a few. And then here are the coordinates. Cool. So basically, once you've already annotated everything, you want to go down here. You want to do a get status. Why isn't it not wanting to do this? Oh, because it's in our training images. So we don't have any changes in our vision branch. All of our changes have been made in our training images branch. So if I were to change my directory and go back to our training images branch, we'll see all the changes that we've had. So if I do a CD into training images and I do a get status, you'll see now that there have been changes to labels 001. And that's because this was created. So what you'd want to do at this point, which I'm not going to do right now because I don't want to add these. I want you guys to be able to do them yourselves, and plus it's not accurate what I did. I don't want to push that up. But what you're going to want to do, and I would take note of this, is to do a get pull rebase before you begin to push. And after that, go ahead and do a get add -- all. And this prepares all your files to be pushed up to GitHub. So a push really means upload, and a pull means download. So what we're going to want to do after this is do a git commit. And what a commit does is it allows you to add a message stating exactly what you did. So here for Aswing, I would say annotated Aswing images. That's pretty good right there. And then after that, you're going to want to do a git push origin and then whatever your branch is called. So this one is called Aswing branch. If you're doing Dracula, then you would do Dracula branch. If you're doing Dragor, you do Dragor branch, Vitala's branch, so on and so forth. And then I'm missing another one, Jiangxi. So yeah, just replace this with whichever branch that you're working on. And then once you go ahead and push it, that means now that anybody else can go ahead and download the changes that you've made, and everyone has access to the images that you have annotated. So once everyone's done annotating, I can go ahead and download all the changes that everyone else has made, and then I can add that to our, I can begin training on those images. So yeah, that is basically how you do it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask the programming channel or ask me on Slack. So I'll try and get back to your questions as soon as possible. Cool. Thanks.